In this episode, we're going to discuss how to demonstrate thought leadership. One of the biggest misconceptions about thought leadership is that you have to become an influencer first. You have to be charismatic, entertaining, you've got to be loud, high energy, and you're always performing. But if that were true, many of the smartest experts in the world would never become thought leaders. And yet some of the most trusted authorities online are not entertainers at all. They don't perform, and they don't go viral. They don't act like social media influencers. So what actually makes someone feel like the authority? Why do some people immediately come across as credible and trustworthy, while others feel like they're trying too hard? And how do you demonstrate expertise online in a way that naturally builds authority instead of looking promotional? That's what this episode is about. A lot of experts hold themselves back online because they think I'm not charismatic enough, or I'm not entertaining enough, or I don't have the personality for social media. But the good news is thought leadership is not built the same way as entertainment is built. Entertainers are seeking attention, but thought leaders solve problems. And once you understand that distinction, it will completely change how you communicate online. Demonstrating thought leadership is not about acting impressive. It's about communicating expertise, trust, your experience, and transformations that you create in a way that people can feel. So in this episode, I'm going to break down exactly how real thought leaders demonstrate authority online without pretending to be influencers. One of the most frustrating things for experts is knowing they genuinely help people, but feeling invisible online. You've spent years developing your expertise, solving problems, helping your clients, and then you open social media and you see entertainers dominating your attention. And that can create a lot of insecurity, especially for people who are naturally more analytical, practical, service-oriented. You might have thoughts like, maybe I need to be more entertaining. Or maybe I need bigger reactions. Maybe I need to act more like an influencer. But that will often pull you away from the very thing that makes you valuable. Authority is not built through performance. Authority is built through proven expertise. The first thing that demonstrates thought leadership is real expertise, not confidence alone, not branding, not your audience size, but real expertise. And I break expertise into 3 different levels. Level 1 is knowledge, right? So you have all the knowledge, the know-how, you've studied it, you've tested it in your mind, you've debated about it with others. Level 2 is where you put that into application, right? You go out and you test it, you find what works and what doesn't work, and when you fail, you pick yourselves up again, right? So you're really in the trenches, so much so that you've found success. You are at point A and you've been able to figure out how to get to point B. Now you're a level 2 expert. Okay, level 1 knowledge, level 2 is in the trenches, you've found success. Level 3 means you've been able to take somebody else by the hand and help them achieve success. So they were at point A and you helped them get to point B. That's level 3 expertise, and level 3 expertise is mandatory for thought leadership. Understanding the difference is important because people can feel the difference between a level 1 expert and somebody who's a level 3, somebody who's lived it and helped people. That's where calm certainty comes from. Not performance, not hype, but in application. Now, one of the clearest indicators of thought leadership is calm confidence. So not exaggerated, not overperformance, not trying to dominate the room, but this calm certainty. Because when someone has genuinely helped people get results repeatedly, they stop needing to prove themselves emotionally. They speak differently, they explain differently, they teach differently. This is one reason so many influencers struggle to build authority businesses. They're trained to maximize attention instead. Thought leaders are focused on maximizing clarity. They do everything they can to make sure that you really understand, that you see the whole picture. And that just creates a different communication style. One of the fastest ways to demonstrate authority is teaching from experience instead of theory. This is where many people unintentionally sound very generic online. They repeat information that everyone else is already saying. But true experts naturally communicate nuance because they've lived it, they've tested it, they've had failures, but they've also had successes with case studies. They've made mistakes, but they've adjusted. They've learned what actually works. So this is also why thought leaders often say things that sound slightly different than mainstream advice. Real-world experience creates a unique perspective. It creates bias, and thought leaders share their bias. Perspective, wisdom, and this bias will build credibility. Another major component of thought leadership is actually storytelling. Not storytelling for entertainment, but for proof, like sharing case studies, sharing your experiences, sharing transformations that people experienced when they went from point A to point B. You're going to share lessons learned, moments of failure, client breakthroughs. See, stories like this allow people to emotionally experience your expertise instead of just intellectually hearing it. This is important because trust is emotional before it's logical. When people hear stories of real transformation, they begin imagining what would it be like to work with this person, and that is powerful. Another strong indicator of authority is specificity. Beginners are going to speak broadly. Experts speak specifically. Experts understand nuance, exceptions. They understand the patterns. So one of the biggest mistakes that people make when trying to demonstrate thought leadership is they stay too broad because they want to appeal to everyone. But broad content, it sounds very shallow and it attracts way too broad of an audience, and you're never going to build thought leadership with that. Specificity creates credibility. This is why highly specific educational content works so well. The people searching those questions immediately recognize this person actually understands my problems. And that's how trust starts forming. So a big shift that experts need to make online is understanding that authority grows faster through helping than through promoting. A lot of people instinctively want to lead with their credentials, their awards, their company, their process, their products, right? All about them. But audiences immediately will put up their defenses when they feel like they're being marketed to, when it's a promotion. Think about how crazy it is. You've seen ads in the marketing world. They put so much attention on their ad and they fine tune it and test it, and then they send it out to a paid audience. And they'll actually test different videos to find which one converts and which one works better. People immediately put their guard up, right? They're skeptical because they know that you're wanting to sell to them. People don't want to be sold. They want help. That's why educational content builds authority so effectively. The audience searched first. They initiated this. They initiated this relationship with you. So they've never heard of you before. They do this search. They find your video. And if you genuinely help them, then trust develops naturally. So imagine building a relationship like this before promotion. It's one of the most powerful principles of building thought leadership. Now, as we've been discussing, entertainers seek attention, thought leaders solve problems. It's a huge distinction that you've got to understand. Entertainers are optimizing for retention, emotion, shock, novelty, broad appeal. They're going after trending topics. Okay, thought leaders, they're optimizing for clarity, transformation, trust, specificity, and listen to this one, search intent. Okay, those are very different communication goals. This is why experts often feel uncomfortable following the mainstream creator advice. Most creator education is built for entertainment models, not expertise businesses. So when experts try to imitate influencers, it weakens their authority instead of strengthening it. So let's talk about this calm certainty. One of the most underrated thought leadership traits is your composure. People trust calm expertise, especially in industries involving health, finance, leadership, law, business, consulting. Anywhere where the stakes are high, audiences are not looking for hype. They're looking for confidence rooted in experience. When you see a thought leader, they appear calm, they appear measured, grounded. They appear clear. They're very, very specific. It's not because they lack personality, but because certainty reduces the need for them to perform. At the end of the day, the strongest signal of thought leadership is your results. Can you actually help people? Do you create that transformation, right, from going to point A to point B? Do people succeed through your guidance? That matters more than any type of production quality, more than charisma, more than your subscriber number. Once people repeatedly see evidence of this transformation that you create, authority becomes difficult to ignore. Case studies are very powerful for this, not because they brag, but because they demonstrate real-world impact. Now, I want to address a misconception that many experts have. They assume that authority requires a massive audience. Okay, it doesn't. It doesn't require that. Some of the most commercially powerful channels on YouTube are relatively small, but they dominate very specific categories. When people are entering searches online, whether Google, YouTube, and ChatGPT, and they keep seeing the same expert over and over while searching for their answers, that expert begins feeling like the authority regardless of the number of subscribers. This is especially true in search-based ecosystems like ChatGPT, like Google search, and like YouTube search. Discoverability plus trust creates authority far faster than entertainment popularity. What's interesting is that AI is making real expertise even more valuable. Now, generic information is everywhere. Anyone can generate surface-level answers. So what stands out now? Well, experience, we've talked about, personal stories, bias. ChatGPT doesn't have bias, okay? Perspective, case studies, real-world application. So thought leadership matters more than ever. The internet is becoming flooded with information, and this means that authentic expertise is becoming increasingly valuable. The goal is not to look like an influencer. The goal is to become the trusted authority. Those are very different things. So you can have thought leader branding, right? But you don't need to become louder, more dramatic, more performance focused. You do need to become more useful, more experienced, more trustworthy, and of course, more specific. Thought leaders, again, solve problems, while influencers are just seeking for attention. That's all they want. So once you understand that distinction, stop trying to perform authority, just start demonstrating it naturally through experience and through teaching. Now, in this episode, I've been doing a lot of talking and not showing, but I have a lot to show you. So if you want to see what this actually looks like in the real world, how experts across industries like annuities or parenting or peptides or law or real estate investing, if you want to see how they've used these principles to become the recognized authority in their category, then you can watch my episode, Thought Leadership Examples. I'm linking to it right there, because in that episode, I break down real case studies showing how searchable expertise, educational content, and strategic positioning create authority and referral quality leads over time. I'll see you there.